the silent emergence. The galaxy had always believed the void was empty. For centuries, scholars, admirals, and explorers alike declared that the dark between the stars was only silence. Yet on that day, every ship patrolling the border of the Vega expanse saw something that made them question all their truths. It began as ripple sensors on dozens of alien frigates caught strange waves, echoing through the fabric of space. It was not a storm, not radiation, not even a weapon test. The void itself seemed to fold, like water breaking around a hidden stone. Officers leaned closer to their glowing consoles, eyes wide, waiting for the explanation their machines refused to give. And then, darkness bled into shape. Out of nothing, a vast silhouette grew. The stars vanished behind its frame, swallowed by an enormous figure that did not belong to any charted fleet. For a moment, no one dared to speak. Even the bridge of the alien command ship was silent, as if every throat had locked in disbelief. "It cannot be," whispered one officer, his voice cracking. The vessel emerging from the void was not marked with alien banners, not carved with the usual designs of the empires. Its hull was cold metal, dark as iron forged in forgotten fires. Simple, brutal lines ran across its surface, built for strength, not beauty. It looked ancient, yet terrifyingly alive, as though the ship itself carried the weight of war, a human ship. At first, the aliens could not accept it. Humanity had been quiet for decades, believed to be fractured, lost to their own struggles. Rumors spread that Earth's fleets were scattered, their shipyards silent. And yet here, in the center of enemy space, something impossible had appeared, a warship of unmistakable human design, rising from the eternal void as if the stars had summoned it. The command ship's leader stood frozen. His kind had fought dozens of wars, crushed rebellious systems, and brought countless species under rule. Yet the sight before him was not another small skirmish fleet, not a minor nuisance. It was a leviathan of iron, a ship that should not exist. The void shimmered as the vessel stabilized, its engines glowing faint blue. Slowly it turned, revealing scars along its armor, marks of battles fought long before it had reached this place. Every wound on its hull told a story, yet it still moved with power, as if defying time itself. Then came the sound. It was not a transmission, not a message through the usual frequencies. Instead, deep vibrations rolled across the void, carried through the very ether of space. The alien ships trembled as if listening to the growl of a beast awakening. Their crews clutched the arms of their chairs, hearts hammering with an instinct older than language, fear. Inside observation decks across nearby worlds, crowds of beings gathered, staring at projections of the mysterious craft. No one blinked. The galaxy itself seemed to hold its breath. From the darkness, the vessel released a sudden pulse of light. It was brief, but strong enough to overload alien sensors for a heartbeat. When vision returned, the human ship had shifted position. It was closer now, watching. No one knew if it prepared to attack or simply announce its presence. But one truth was clear. This was no derelict, drifting ghost. This was an active warship, a living threat. Whispers spread like wildfire across systems. Commanders argued over comms. Civilians flooded message channels with fear. What did this mean? Why had humanity returned? And why from the eternal void, a place no fleet had ever crossed before? The alien leader swallowed hard, his voice tight as he finally ordered, "Hold fire! Do not provoke it." But even as he spoke, he knew the truth. Whether they fired or not, history had already shifted. The galaxy had witnessed the impossible, and somewhere, within the shadows of that colossal human vessel, unseen figures prepared for what was to come. The void had given birth to a ghost of war, and the galaxy gasped. The first contact, the alien fleets did not move. Hundreds of ships drifted in uneasy formation, weapons armed but silent, their crews staring at the dark shape before them. The human vessel floated like a shadow given form, massive and unyielding. Its engines glowed faintly, as if it had no need to rush, no fear of what surrounded it. The alien commander clenched his jaw. The order had been clear: do not fire. But the silence of the human ship was worse than any volley of weapons. Silence was intent. Silence was power. Finally, one of his officers broke the stillness. "Commander, should we attempt contact?" The leader hesitated. If they spoke to it, they risked revealing weakness. If they stayed silent, they risked provoking the unknown. But the galaxy had never seen a human ship emerge like this, out of the void itself. Answers were needed. He gave a sharp nod. "Open a channel. Broadcast wideband." The officers moved quickly. A deep hum filled the comm systems as their message was sent out. It was formal, diplomatic, rehearsed 1,000 times before in countless first encounters. "This is the fleet of the Vega Expanse. You are in restricted territory. Identify yourself." The words spread across space like ripples in water. Every ship waited. Every sensor focused on the giant vessel. At first, nothing came. Then, static. A low crackle filled the comms, harsh and raw, as if the very void itself was trying to speak. It was not language, not sound shaped for meaning. It was a rumble, like storms breaking across oceans, like the whisper of ancient machinery turning after centuries of rest. Crew members exchanged nervous looks. This was not a reply they understood. Some covered their ears, convinced the noise was alive, reaching into their minds. Suddenly, words formed out of the chaos. "We are watching." The voice was deep, mechanical yet human, every syllable carrying weight. It did not give a name, nor a rank, nor a purpose. Only those 3 words. The alien commander stiffened. Watching, not negotiating. Not explaining. Watching. Another officer trembled. "Commander, if they are watching, then they have already chosen their path." The commander said nothing. On the outer rim of the fleet, one nervous captain panicked. Against orders, his ship's weapons activated, energy building along its cannons. Fear broke discipline. Before the commander could issue a command, the captain fired. Bolts of bright plasma streaked through the void, aimed at the massive human ship. Every eye followed them, watched them strike the hull, watched them vanish into sparks. The plasma hit, but the vessel did not flinch. No shield shimmered. No armor melted. The energy disappeared as though it had been swallowed whole. The ship remained unchanged, silent, unscarred. Gasps filled the alien fleet. Fear turned to terror. Then the human vessel moved. Slowly, its forward cannons rotated. They were not sleek like alien weapons, nor decorated with symbols. They were brutal, heavy barrels forged only for destruction. The sight of them alone was a declaration. Humanity's weapons were not built to warn, but to end. The commander barked orders, his voice shaking. "Cease fire! All ships hold position." The fleet froze. Every officer, every soldier, every civilian watching across nearby systems felt the same dread. This ship had not attacked, but it had shown what it was capable of. It did not need to strike to prove its dominance. The human vessel's lights flickered. A second message came, carried across all frequencies, heard by every ship, every being in range. "Do not test us again." Then silence returned. The void around the vessel deepened, as though it belonged to it, as though it carried its own shadow wherever it went. The alien fleets remained frozen, unsure if they had just survived a warning or been marked for something far worse. And somewhere inside that colossal ship, unseen human eyes watched, calculating, waiting. The galaxy had asked who they were. The answer was clear. The echo of fear news traveled faster than light. Across the galaxy, in great halls of government, in hidden chambers of shadow councils, and in the noisy markets of distant colonies, a single phrase spread like wildfire. A human vessel had emerged from the eternal void. The impossible had been seen, witnessed, recorded. No empire could deny it. On the crystal towers of the Zethian core, leaders gathered in silence. They had ruled star systems for centuries with their unmatched fleets, but now their high commanders shifted uneasily in their seats. "If humanity can return from the void itself," one whispered, "then the balance of power is broken." On the merchant worlds of the Saren chain, traders abandoned their stalls to crowd around massive display screens, watching replay after replay of the human vessel appearing out of darkness. The voices of broadcasters shook as they spoke, knowing their words would echo in history. The galaxy gasps tonight. Humanity has returned. On quiet planets far from the front lines, civilians huddled in fear. Parents told their young not to worry, but in their own hearts they remembered the ancient stories, tales of human wars, when entire fleets burned and empires collapsed under the relentless advance of Earth's warriors. But not everyone was afraid. In secret corners, in rebel outposts and oppressed colonies, whispers grew louder. If humans are back, they said, maybe the empires will fall. Maybe the age of chains will end. For the powerless, the human vessel was not a terror. It was hope. Meanwhile, on the border where it had first appeared, the alien fleets remained frozen. No ship dared to move closer. No commander dared to challenge. The vessel floated like a predator at rest, massive and patient, as if waiting for the galaxy itself to decide whether it was prey or partner. Inside the council chambers of the Vega expanse, voices clashed. "We must strike now! Destroy it before more appear! Fool! You saw what one volley did. It was nothing!" If this is only one ship, imagine if they still have more. Imagine if they never stop building. The commander who had seen the ship first clenched his fists. His mind replayed the words he had heard, carved into him like iron. "We are watching. Do not test us again." Those words had not been threat alone. They had been promise. Still, one question burned across every star system. Why now? Why here? What purpose drove this ship to emerge from the eternal void? Some believed it was a scout, the first of many. Others argued it was an exile, lost for centuries and now returned by chance. But a few, those who still studied human history, saw a deeper truth. Humanity never revealed itself without intent. Back in the shadowed vessel, deep within its armored halls, figures moved quietly. Their faces were human, their steps steady, their eyes carrying something no alien could name. They spoke little, yet their actions showed clarity. On one vast command bridge, a single screen glowed. Across it spread a map of the galaxy, empires, colonies, war zones, trade routes. Red marks flared on dozens of systems, targets. The vessel had not come to announce itself. It had come to choose. And as the galaxy panicked, whispered, and hoped, humanity's silence was the loudest voice of all. The galaxy had seen a ghost rise from the void. But soon, it would learn this ghost carried fire. The first strike, the galaxy argued. Councils debated, fleets repositioned, and whispers filled every channel. Some begged for diplomacy. Others demanded immediate war. But in the end, pride always wins where fear should have ruled. The core Dominion made the first move. Their empire was known for arrogance, their fleets stretching across 50 systems. They could not allow the myth of human strength to spread unchecked. To them, fear was poison, and they would crush it before it grew. So they sent an armada. 500 ships, each bristling with weapons, engines blazing like firestorms across the void. Their admiral broadcast his words to every listening system. The so-called human vessel will be reduced to ash. The Dominion does not bow to phantoms. His voice was steady, but beneath the steel was doubt. The human ship did not flee. It did not answer. It drifted, silent and watchful, as the armada closed in. Alien civilians across 100 worlds watched the unfolding battle live, their screens filled with the sight of the Dominion's fleet encircling the lone vessel. Commentators whispered what all already knew: 500 against 1 was no battle. It was slaughter, and then it began. The Dominion unleashed its fury. A storm of plasma, missiles, and energy beams tore through the void, converging on the human vessel. The darkness lit up like dawn, explosions blooming across space in a chain of fire. The screens went white with light. When the glare cleared, the human ship was still there, unbroken, unmoving, untouched. The Dominion admiral froze, his breath shallow. His officers scrambled, sensors screaming confusion. "Shields intact! No damage detected. Impossible!" But it was no trick. Every weapon had struck and every weapon had been swallowed. The vessel stood like an ancient fortress, unmoved by the storm. Then, for the first time, the human ship answered. Its cannons rotated, locking onto a single Dominion battleship. The barrels glowed not with plasma or fire, but with a light so pure it cut through the void like a blade. The shot came without warning. One flash, one thunderous release, and the Dominion battleship ceased to exist. It did not explode. It did not break. It simply vanished, erased from the void as though it had never been. Panic ripped through the Dominion fleet. Ships scrambled, officers screamed, but before they could retreat, the human vessel fired again. Another battleship gone, then another. Each strike was final, absolute. No wreckage, no survivors. The galaxy watched in horror. This was not war. This was execution. The admiral's voice cracked over comms. Retreat! Retreat! But it was too late. Dozens of ships disintegrated under the relentless fire, each one blinking out of existence like dying stars. The void filled with silence, broken only by the desperate cries of fleeing captains. Within minutes, half the Dominion's armada was gone, and still the human ship did not pursue. It stopped firing the moment the survivors broke formation. It allowed them to flee, carrying their terror back to their empire, carrying the message to every corner of the galaxy. The message was simple. You cannot touch us, but we can erase you. In markets, in halls, in every place where beings gathered, silence followed the footage. Even the strongest empires trembled, for they had just witnessed the death of certainty. 500 ships could not break one. Inside the human vessel, the crew remained calm. No cheers, no triumph, no celebration. Only quiet focus. They had not struck for conquest. They had struck for proof. The galaxy now believed, and the galaxy now feared. The purpose revealed. The Dominion's defeat shook the galaxy. News of the massacre spread faster than light, carried on every channel, every whisper, every frightened breath. Entire systems that once mocked the idea of humanity now trembled at the memory of the impossible. One ship. One vessel against 500, and it had walked through fire untouched. In the grand chambers of the Galactic Council, the rulers of empires gathered in panic. Never before had so many sat in the same hall without war. But fear had united them, if only for a moment. They cannot be allowed to roam free, one shouted. They will destroy us all, cried another. They have returned from the eternal void. What if more are waiting? The arguments crashed like storms, but none had an answer. All they knew was this: the galaxy was no longer theirs to command. Meanwhile, the human vessel drifted through space in silence. It did not chase the Dominion. It did not strike new targets. It simply moved with purpose, its engines guiding it deeper into the heart of the galaxy. Inside, its crew worked quietly. Their faces were calm, their voices low, their actions steady. To them, this was not conquest. This was mission. At last, the vessel arrived, a forgotten system, long abandoned, hidden in the maps of ancient archives. The stars here were dim, the planets cold and broken. Yet, in orbit around a dying sun, alien scanners caught sight of something that froze their blood. An old human station, buried in silence for centuries. The vessel docked. For the first time, transmissions poured forth, clear and sharp, echoing into the galaxy. Every empire, every outpost, every listening ear heard the same words. Humanity does not return for war. Humanity returns for what is ours. Across the void, screens filled with an image, a vault opening deep inside the ancient station. Within it glowed data cores, weapons designs, maps, and artifacts lost to time. Relics of wars long past, knowledge humanity had hidden away before vanishing into silence. The message continued. You fight over borders. You cling to thrones, but you do not understand. We walked into the eternal void because the galaxy was not ready. Now we return, because you have forgotten fear. And without fear, you build only empires of chains. The words struck like thunder. Some rulers saw threat. Others saw warning. And the oppressed across the galaxy saw something more. Promise. The human vessel undocked, its engines roaring like storms across the stars. But it did not fire, did not conquer, did not burn worlds. It simply left, fading once more into the darkness between suns. In its wake, It left silence. No one knew when humanity would return. No one knew how many ships lurked in the eternal void. No one knew their true strength, but every ruler now measured their power against the shadow of that vessel. Every rebel now whispered of human salvation, and every child on every world grew up with a new story. A story of the day the galaxy gasped, because they all understood one truth. The void was not empty. The humans were still there, and they were watching.